Oh, we're live. I forgot the
We're live.
intro.
We are live. Here's that fancy
Hold on.
intro
Wait.
here.
Marcus brings the heat, no filter in sight. Jason's got the insights, always gets it right. Sean's the wild card with a laugh in the night. On FolkLOOR, they banter about the latest fight. FolkLOOR podcast, stories non-stop. Entertainment gossip, and tech's new crop. Loud opinions, like a punk rock pop. Marcus, Jason, Sean, they never drop.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the FolkLOOR podcast. I'm Marcus. I'm with Sean and Jason Cowboy Up Farley.
Yeehaw.
Welcome everybody to the show. We just to be clear, we were not live, but once we tell Restream that we're going live, it schedules us on YouTube, and so people can hang out in the chat before we go live. So that's what happened there. That's why Ian, Iron Films 2.0, kind of distracted us, but that's how that happened.
Thank you, Ian, for representing thousands of fans.
Yeah, man, it was great.
You represent thousands of fans in our hearts. I'm not sure that actually makes sense. It sounded like it was going to make sense in my head, and then it didn't.
It made sense in my head.
I
like it.
So did you have a good week?
I had a week in which I survived. Thus, it is a good week.
That's
Got
great.
the use of all my limbs still. We're on the right track.
Okay. What about you, Sean?
I had a great week. I had an awesome week. Caught the tail end of some Coachella goodness. And I don't know, life is good.
Yeah.
Coachella is like right in your backyard, right?
Right over there.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Funny enough, you can. Yeah. And it's like when the wind blows just right, you can actually hear it from over here.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And you get that for free?
You get that for free. I don't have to pay for that. I'm muffled. So muffled. Hey, Jason, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking a sugar-free Red Bull that I got in my Easter basket from the Easter Bunny.
Well, how about that? Happy Easter.
Hey, happy Easter.
Oh, man, I'm left out.
So if Red Bull is looking for a podcast to sponsor.
I think we don't get any money for this. I paid full retail for this, by the way. I never used to have to do that back in the day.
Like $5, right? Oh yeah, I guess you worked around people that Red Bull was just always hanging around.
Oh, we would get cases of it delivered. Yeah.
Yeah, like actual Red Bull.
Yeah, actual Red Bull.
No, I say that for a reason because I know the guy that made Liquid Death, the water that he makes. He got the idea for Liquid Death in the energy drink cans because he went to a bunch of punk rock shows and he was with skaters and he was on Warped Tour and stuff. And they would have Monster energy drinks, but it would say in very fine print, water only. And so that was because all the rock stars didn't want to drink energy drinks all day, but they were contractually obligated to carry a Monster energy drink can. Yeah. So he was like, well, what if we just made a really cool punk rock bottled water in an aluminum can? And that's how Liquid Death became $1 billion brand.
Is this your trivia question?
No, it's not a trivia question. Because it doesn't involve entertainment. It involves...
No, I like it. I don't understand. I don't like water and metal together. That's a weird. It's like going to. Have you watched that show Love on the Spectrum?
Yeah.
Like, yep. So it'll be like, meet Sean. He likes singing birds and sunrises. But he doesn't like water and metal.
That's a great
It is
impression
good.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does always make me nervous. I'm going to get struck by lightning. I don't know.
It's true.
It does. Yeah, it does sound like if you're drinking a liquid death, you're a target for lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been
have
struck
you
by
guys seen
lightning,
that show,
so
though?
it's pretty irrational.
Have you
Have
seen
you
what?
seen Love on the Spectrum?
It's
so
phenomenal.
Oh,
It's
so
phenomenal. Yeah, yeah.
good.
It's really it's some of the best storytelling I've ever seen in a documentary format for sure.
When
It's
I didn't watch it at first because I was worried they were going to be making fun of the people, but they don't.
Yeah.
They take
Yeah.
they do a really good job of honoring the guests or stars, or I like it.
Yeah,
I was the
they're
same.
all like rock stars now. Every one of them from season 3 is just crazy popular on TikTok or whatever. It's really amazing. It's amazing, and there's also the Down syndrome version that I think they only did one season, but it was like Love on the Downs or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it was the Down syndrome version, which was awesome because you don't really see disabled people in Hollywood much. Jason knows why, but
Oh, that's right. You do know why.
They try to keep Down syndrome people off screen because of Planned Parenthood.
Oh man.
They don't
evil.
They don't want you to fall in love with Down syndrome.
They don't want you to realize how big of a blessing they are to the world.
It's tragic. Well, we need more shows like that. It has a lot of heart. And I had the same apprehension. I was like, I don't want to watch something where people are being exploited, but they really get celebrated, and they're so darn engaging and interesting and cool.
I think that's one of the only shows on Netflix that I just binge watch every episode. I think the last show that it was just like let's see if we could do this in one day sort of show was I don't remember the name. It was that detective show with the older guy from he was on The Good Place, Ted Danson. Did y'all see that show?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It's really good. Yeah, he becomes a undercover detective in a nursing home. And it's a really good show.
And I broke up with Ted after Cheers, so I'm anything post Cheers. I don't know.
But no, that show was really good, clean show. That was phenomenal. But speaking of humans and humanizing people, we found this article on Netflix algorithms by who wrote the article?
So Stephen Follows.
Stephen Follows. And let me share my screen here. And Sean, I want you to dive into this. I have some thoughts on this as well.
Yeah.
If
well,
I can get nice.
First of all, I want to do an audio check. I feel like my voice is 10 times louder than everybody else's. How does the audience feel about that? Could you all weigh in the chat room and let us know how is the audio? Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. Okay, good. It could just be my bad Sony headphones. So the article talks about all of the patents that Netflix has, and it's about half of it is like content acquisition and just management of the content, but the other half is the algorithm of recommendations and what they do and what they're doing. I found it's a good article because it goes into pretty deep about all the recommendation engines, but the thing I don't like is I still feel like you're trapped in this recommendation bubble, and there isn't that curated human side to it. People might love that.
This is what we're talking about. One of just how they this is just how stuff is delivered to you, but then there's a lot of stuff in terms of what you watch changing, what shows up next. Your skips and ignores are signals as well. And then,
How quick you get through a program determines things. And then they
yep,
have actual A/B testing on shows. So there'll be a version of a show for group A and a different version of the show for group B.
right. That's right. And so, yeah, but one of the things I've commented on this as well is well, one of the things is that the trailers are just random clips that are popular among the viewers. So if you notice, if you go onto Netflix now and you watch or you're scrolling through Netflix, it just shows you a clip of a movie and it doesn't show you the trailer, right? It's just this is a scene that most people resonated with. I don't know how they really know that, other than they either rewound it, or they didn't skip it, or they watched it again. But they have all that. It doesn't really tell you if you rewound it because the dog was barking, or it doesn't. Like, there's a lot of reasons why you might rewind it. Somebody came to the door, you got a phone call, or you just realized that you were doom scrolling on Facebook and weren't paying attention. So you go back. So I don't know. Like I'm saying, like I don't know. Like that to me, like doesn't show me like I'm actually interested in it if I rewind something. It could be that just the audio mix was bad and I didn't catch that word that person said. There's tons of reasons why I don't think this makes sense. But I would also argue too, because they do this with they auto generate the Netflix movie poster, right? So it's usually just an actor on screen, with their face pretty prominent, and smiling. When I worked for an advertising agency, one of the things we had to do was always take a screenshot of the movie with the lead actor that was smiling, and that was the thumbnail for the trailers that would go on social media. And so now Netflix just does it automatically. But I think like one of the things you're losing is uh, the the art and craft of making film trailers. I think like that's gone if it's just random scenes from the movie, and then you're also losing the art and craft of amazing movie poster design. So like those are two things that are very important, especially on film marketing, or that's been really important for film marketing, that we don't see anymore. So, any thoughts on that, Sean?
Now that's interesting. So my thing is more about the sense of discovery. So I'll use an example. So I grew up on radio, especially alternative and college radio, and KCRW specifically in Los Angeles. KCRW was great because you had these uh, DJs curating the playlist and really working hard every week to gather this music they've found around the world. And that was how you discovered music. And there was just a human element to it. And now I'm also on Spotify, which is cool, but I'm starting to notice even in my Discover Weekly Spotify, it's just now kind of all starting to sound the same. It's the same kind of stuff. And I don't have this sense of discovery. I might find some new tracks, but there's some soul missing there. And I've been recently going back to KCRW to listen, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, and they'll just play something that's totally surprising that would not end up in an algorithmic playlist on Spotify. There was a human being that said, hey, this is totally different than what I've been playing, but man, this track I love these guys. And so I feel the same with Netflix and streaming, that I'm missing out on some stuff that doesn't fit into the algorithm based on my viewing behavior. But I would sure like if someone said, hey, this is kind of random, Sean, but check this movie out. I missed that.
That's what happened when you would like you walk into a Blockbuster, right? And you would just kind of
Yeah.
just walk the aisles, and you would just see,
Yeah.
you would have your primary on this, like, here's Jurassic Park that just came to VHS. So you have like six, entire shelves of Jurassic Park. But then you would walk like the middle aisles and you would just
Yeah.
find really
Go to the
cool
bargain
stuff.
bin. You might even go to
Yeah,
the
and you
bargain
start.
bin and see some cheesy B movie from 1982 and go,
That's right. That's right. And
Well,
so
and
that's sort of like
we
gone.
we had the locally owned film place called Howard Hughes that they hired people that loved old movies, and so they were always putting out suggestions, of here's a great old movie. It's 49 cents to rent, and you'll love it. And my wife and I were really into kung fu movies for a while, and you go in and they'd have a whole kung fu movie section. So we watched like every Wu-Tang movie, everything, and you don't get that with an algorithm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when I first got Pandora Radio, and every station eventually devolved into a Red Hot Chili Peppers playlist, and I was like, "That's not what I want," but it
Yeah.
was always devolving
It's
into a
kinda
Red Hot Chili
That
Peppers
sounds like
playlist.
living hell, by the way.
Yeah, it
That
does.
just
It does.
but
anything
it
constant
seems
Red Hot Chili Peppers, just I'm gonna run to the hills.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't need another song about California from a former heroin addict. Sorry.
Yeah. It seems worse to me though, because like if you walk into a Blockbuster and you find something and then you realize, you can go, "Oh man, who's this Quentin Tarantino guy?" And you find this movie and you're like, "Wow, this is really amazing." You found that on your own. And now everything on Netflix is being sent to you because other people like it, or Netflix thinks that you're part of this group of people, and since this group of people liked it, then you'll like it. It's not like it's there's this human element that that's sort of like missing. The best way I could describe it is, uh, when you go into a cigar lounge and you have a really good tobacconist and you know that tobacconist really well, and he personally recommends stuff for you based on the stuff that he knows your relational your that relational element is completely different than something like cigarsinternational.com just recommends like their top picks for me is like like, and I think that's what's missing. This, I think you're right, it's curation. Like there's this
yeah.
manual craft of curation that I think is completely missing, for sure.
Well, and when
I
you
have a
go in
qu-
and the 19-year-old kid behind the counter and you say, "Hey, what's a good kung fu movie I haven't seen?" and he pulls up Drunken Master, and you go, "Oh, I never would have watched that." And then you realize that there's this gold that you've never seen, but it was just somebody else that loves movies saying, "Oh man, this is great. You'll love it." There's something I think that we lose when the robots uh, become our recommenders.
Well, I have a
Yeah.
question I pose to you both and to the people in the chat room. Is this just a generational thing? Is this just that we grew up in that world and so we still got one foot in the past? Or is this something that even the new generation that never experienced that, are they yearning for that? Are we just old Luddites just sort of complaining, or is
Well, no,
this
I
actually a
think
need?
I think Victor brings up a good point where he says DVD cases where the album covers a video. Like I think you could go back like vinyl records, the vinyl covers, CD covers, like that artwork for an album cover used to be a big deal. Like the movie posters used to be a big deal. As you can say, well, Gen Z doesn't have to worry about it because decided that it's not important. But that's not what happens. The younger generations find vinyls again,
Yeah,
right? And now record, like even VHS. Like I have some family VHS tapes that I've been wanting to transfer digitally, but VCRs are so expensive and impossible to find anymore because everybody wants a VCR now because they they're falling in love with VHS tapes, and they're finding VHS tapes in thrift stores that have been recorded, and they're making entire YouTube channels about found VHS tapes and stuff. Like, so there's like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're going to find they're going to find like movie poster artwork. Right? Like that's gonna be a thing. I don't think it goes away because it's if it's good art, it just doesn't go away. It's not a well back in my day we had good art sort of thing, where the younger generation does have good art. What we're saying is like that they don't have that now. They have screenshots and random clips. Uh, that's not the same thing as I listened to John Denver, and that was real music, and Kendrick Lamar, that's not real music. Like like that's two completely different things. This is not that argument. This is like this computerized automated metric, and I honestly think VHS stores are going to be making a comeback. Like not VHS per se, but like just like old school that sort of thing where you can go and like search around for a movie and stuff. That's going to come back just like old bookstores are
I
making
think you're
comebacks. And
I think you're on to something because I went to the Goodwill down the street yesterday because I was in this vinyl mood. And I walked in and all the CDs and the VHS and the vinyl were there. Well, the last time I went to a Goodwill to check this out was about 6 months ago. The vinyl was all about $1 to $2. The VHS were about 99 cents and the CDs were about $1. I went in yesterday. No vinyl under $7. There was a Shalimar album that looked like it was half eaten by a rabid sea lion. Half the cover was missing, and it was $7.99. There wasn't a single VHS for under $3.99, and the CDs were all $3.99. And I was like, "What is going on?" I couldn't believe it. And so I think you're right. I think people are getting
my kids go to record stores on the weekend and come home with vinyl.
It's insane though to go to like Goodwill's usually still kind of they don't catch on, and you still can go to Goodwill and get a good deal. I mean, I couldn't believe there wasn't a vinyl under $6.99, and it was like, I mean, we're talking thrashed, like warped, beat up vinyl. This wasn't like limited print like Def Leppard or something. This was anyways.
I do think that the desire to have something real doesn't ever go away, and there's something about the things that only exist digitally that doesn't satisfy that. So I don't think it's just we had it better. I think there's something about that. There's a real connection made to real things. Like the Bob Marley movie wasn't good. It was off. It was awful. But there was that great scene where they bring in what the record label wants for the cover of Exodus.
Yeah.
And then they bring in what it actually becomes. And the record exec is like, we got to sell records, and that means your face needs to be on it. And he's saying, no, but this art is great, and the music will sell the records. And this argument with over what came to be a classic record cover. It's really interesting, just to see that. And now there's just no, from the Black Keys on, their brother's album was the first one that said, well, we're just trying to sell it on iTunes, so all we need is a black square with the name on it. We're not printing anything. Why would we make an album cover? I think that mindset is there's something that goes away. There's that's sad.
I don't know why, but you're just telling that story made me realize that my least favorite drummer is Meg White from the White Stripes. Random thought. I just thought that out there.
Random thought. Yeah.
I think you said Black Keys, and then I went into that era. But I think you're right. So I wonder, like, even with FolkLOOR TV, I think there's value in the fact that we're curating things, that we don't have just an algorithm that's pumping things out. And I kind of
it's the audience.
I hope we keep that forever. Let's not sell out, guys.
Me too. Yeah. Never. Like just like Green Day, we're never going to sell out.
Yeah, never. It's funny. They're not selling out. They're just buying in.
And it went well for them. So who am I to But I just remember them saying, "We'll never sell out," and 6 months later they sold out.
I was in Trader Joe's the other night, and one of their songs came on, and I was like,
Yeah, I'm buying groceries to Green Day. Their
Yeah.
their revolution
I think about it was
didn't quite
Albertson.
work. Okay, their
Trader Joe's.
revolution didn't quite turn the world upside down.
Hey guys, you know what time it is?
Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's time for Jason's Trivia Lesson.
All right.
man.
All right. Here comes. Now we all know that in 1991, Turner Cable bought Hanna-Barbera and launched the Cartoon Network.
Everybody knows that.
Everyone knows that, proving that
Common
a
knowledge.
whole network devoted to fans of cartoons could be profitable. But before that, there was a network that tested an entire block of cartoons called Cartoon Express, beginning with classic cartoons like Scooby-Doo, Huckleberry Hound, Yogi Berra, Space Ghost, and everyone's favorite communist propaganda, the Smurfs. Right, that was what they started with. They don't even have names. They're just given their work title, Hammer, Carpenter Smurf, and then Papa Smurf looks like Karl Marx. It's the worst. But eventually, they developed and launched successful new cartoons. And these are some of the cartoons first launched in Cartoon Express. Fat Albert, He-Man, Gem, G.I. Joe, The Real Ghostbusters, Voltron, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all first launched on that cartoon block called Cartoon Express. The question is, what was the network that risked it all to launch an entire block of cartoons?
Wow.
Is this just Saturday morning cartoons?
It was a daily block of cartoons.
First of all, I'm sifting through all the brain nuggets I just got in that trivia. I did not realize that one of the Smurfs was made in the image of Karl Marx.
Karl Marx, yeah.
That's a good fun fact.
Yeah, that Pepe, who started it, is just pure communist.
Wow.
It's all men, right? So there's no distinction between anybody except for the job that they do. There's no money. Gargamel is the evil capitalist trying to turn them all into gold. And he's trying to monetize their labor. And then Gargamel, in order to throw everything into chaos, introduces the distinction of a girl Smurf, and the girl Smurf is introduced. She starts off as evil, and then they have to, change her. But she comes in and she's different, and so everybody's like, "Oh, she's different. We're not all the same," and it causes chaos in Smurf Village.
Wow,
That's the
this
worst.
is sounding like
I hate
maybe
the
a
Smurfs.
potential course at Hillsdale that you could.
Oh,
Here we go.
yes, there we go.
Oh,
It's,
See,
it's all over. All
evil.
Smurfs, communism, and the ideal society. It's a lot, dude. I thought for sure. I thought for sure that this was fringe, but it is not. It is not fringe.
the slow march to communism baked into these little blue goblins.
Yeah, so everyone's like, "Oh, the Smurfs are the good guys." No, Gargamel is the good guy. He's the one trying to monetize their labor. Like a good capitalist. Gargamel's the good guy. He's trying to make him into a bad guy.
All
Yes,
Smurf talk,
Papa
and
Marx.
I already forgot what the trivia. So the question is what was the network that was bold enough to roll with this?
To roll with an entire block of cartoons called Cartoon Express every day before they did their sports programming in the evening. So started I don't know if I want to tell you the date. That might give it
No,
away
don't
too
do the
much.
date.
But
Don't give us too much. But I just want to shout out Victor. I'm right there with you. I always hated. I never liked the Smurfs. So thank you, Victor, for agreeing with all of us. Sometimes even when
thank you,
you're a
Victor,
kid, you
for
just got a
being
gut
right.
instinct. What?
Said thank you, Victor, for being right like us.
Yeah, that's right. When you're a kid, you can sniff out what's rotten. You know what's up. Well, great. That's a great question. I cannot wait for the answer.
Well, I want to get to one more story, Sean, if you don't mind, about Robbie Starbuck and his lawsuit. Since we're on the subject of AI generated algorithms and stuff like that, and this is an article you brought up from the Wall Street Journal. I'll share
I
the.
think too. Maybe Jason would be good at this. You want to tee up for our audience who Robbie is, just a quick, because I think it's key to know like who he is and what he's achieved.
I actually don't know who Robbie Starbuck is.
Okay, well, I guess that puts the. I'll try. I'll take a crack at it.
I read this article and thought, man, this is a crazy story. Wonder who that guy is.
So Robbie's an activist. He's I think he's Cuban originally. His parents are from Cuba. He kind of he does not like communism because he had a front row seat. And he was a Hollywood guy who decided to become an activist and really tear down the whole companies with DEI and CRT and all that. And he's done a really good job. So he's been an activist to get companies to put an end to all that racism because that's what it is. Let's be front about that. So he's an anti-communist, anti-racist, good all around good dude. AI was it Meta? When you did a search on him, it didn't give a very nice answer, and so he's decided to sue Meta for that. I'll pass the torch back to Marcus on that to kind of frame out what this lawsuit's about.
Yeah. Someone asked AI about Robbie Starbuck. AI gave. Can we say defamatory?
Yeah.
So defamatory response back, and so this lawsuit is basically over whether or not like who's responsible for AI when AI cites defamation. This is pretty. It's a pretty the consequences of this lawsuit is pretty substantial. I feel like
It's can set a big precedent.
Yeah, it's gonna set a big precedent. And I think the question is, so a company like YouTube or even Rumble, they have protection because they're a platform and not a publisher, right? So there's this platform versus publisher distinction.
Section 230.
Yeah, what is it?
Section 230.
Yeah, Section 230. I have my own personal thoughts on that. I don't think it's possible to be a pure platform. There's always censorship guidelines and publishing requirements and stuff like that. But that's a completely different thing. But the question is, I guess, is AI and the output of AI a platform or is it a publisher? That's going to be an interesting thing. I think they need Section 230 requirements.
Well, I think so there's a couple angles on this story. The one that kind of strikes me is that in the last few years, there have been a lot of gushing about AI, and it's just this amazing solution. And there's a lot of great applications for it, but it gets things wrong a lot. And the more you get involved with it, the more you realize it gets. I've had the funniest dialogue exchanges with ChatGPT where I've actually like brought them down into submission where Chat's actually apologized for lying to me.
I've had that
Which
as
I
well.
think is so funny because it's like, wait a minute, this whole time we've been playing this game, and then you finally just surrendered and said, "Sean, I'm really sorry. I was incorrect. I stand corrected." And I was like, okay, well, that's kind of funny. But the point here is that it doesn't matter when it doesn't matter, but when it does, it does. And in this case, this is defamation, and it'll be interesting to see whether he wins this case, because if he does, obviously it sets a huge precedent for the AI companies. And if anything, if he doesn't win, it at least exposes the fact that this is not a perfect artificial intelligence is not perfect intelligence, and it could ruin your career.
Yeah. In the long run, these are the ones that set precedents too about things like who's responsible if a robot kills someone, or if a robot, maims someone. Is it the person who built the robot, or is it the person who owns the robot, or the person that was using the robot? Right. So I think these are important precedent-setting cases, just in a case law question, right, too.
Because in the case law, wouldn't I mean, the first thing that jumps to mind is this would be a matter of man versus beast, right? So if your beast, like if your beast attacks someone, at least in the Bible, you are responsible for that. And so it feels like in some way it's in the same vein, but also kind of not, because if I used AI to create code that would hack my friend's computer, I wouldn't think that ChatGPT would be responsible for that attack. It would be me. I actually me implementing it. But what I don't, like, my fear is, and I think Robbie is a free speech activist, right? I think he's in the patriot camp, that sort of thing. I think he is setting a dangerous precedent to make things really bad for people. Like this is like, because let's say he wins. Like, there's an old 95-year-old judge, that would be cast on an episode of Boston Legal, and like he doesn't know anything about technology, and he just goes, well, yeah, it printed defamation, therefore, so now all of a sudden you have all these AI companies like just implementing all these legal safeguards just to keep themselves from getting sued.
Let me ask you this,
there's not a good way. There's not a good solution to that.
So let me ask you this. So we live in a world where we're obviously in a super litigious society, and we've got disclaimers everywhere. A pack of cigarettes got a disclaimer. The opening before a movie's got a disclaimer. So why shouldn't AI maybe just have a little bit more of a transparent disclaimer? Because you have to admit, we've been gushing about AI as though it's this perfect solution, which it's not. And we've just seen it with maybe it's a weird leap of a comparison, but did you guys read the story about the Waymo car that went down the wrong side of the highway and the people got locked in it?
I've got a great Waymo story, but yeah,
okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, basically this just happened last week, and Waymo locked the doors. They couldn't get out. They tried to call customer service. Of course, it's somewhere in Manila and they can't help them. And they were just trapped in this car. And it's like, okay, well, that shouldn't happen. And we've set it up as though these Waymo cars are perfect and they're going to get it right. No one's going to get hurt. So it's like, these are just examples that all of this stuff that we're relying on is not perfect. And someone has to accept responsibility, or you need to be able to be very aware of how imperfect it is and then agree to the terms of that imperfection, versus this just Silicon Valley gushing that it's like all perfect.
Yeah. I had
that story of the Waymo terrifies me. Like, I'm legitimately terrified, and I'm the most techno optimist guy there is, and that sends chills down my spine.
I had a Waymo drop me off 43 blocks from where it was supposed to, and I call customer service. I'm like, I'm just in a random neighborhood, and they're like, well, you'll have to get out, and then we'll send a new, and then we'll we can maybe reprogram it, or so I get out and it just takes off and I'm just left in this neighborhood. so I just called another Waymo and went because I'm like, yeah, oops, let's try again.
I can't believe you called it. I would be like, I'm calling a cab at that point. There's no way I'd jump back in another Waymo. That's great.
You were with me in Phoenix, and there was just Waymos everywhere.
Yeah.
They were all over the place, and like I was watching, I was pretty impressed. Like it was going through, there was all the security because Trump was going to be at this conference we were at. So there, the Waymo followed there was a police officer directing traffic, and the Waymo followed the police officer and not the traffic signs. Because I was watching it, I was like, no way.
Wow, yeah, that's impressive.
It actually did. So it's like insanely impressive, but it's not a replacement for a cross country trip with your family and you behind the wheel. Like there's just things that it might be nice to have an automated Tesla and to own a Tesla, and then when you're not driving, you can just send it around town and make money from it. It's great, but it's not going to be the same thing as just hitting up random gas stations in the middle. Like that's always going to be a thing. Like look, here's a gas station with pumps still from the 1950s. Like that's that's always going to be a thing.
Taking it back to Robbie though, I think we got to all watch the case closely, because just for a minute, put yourself in Robbie's shoes or anyone else or any of us. If people were using a solution like ChatGPT or anything else to find out information about you, and it's continually creating lies or complete mistruths, and this is what people are relying on, same with Wikipedia or any of that, I don't think you would just sit back idly. I mean, I'd be all over it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't ChatGPT who I am, because it
I saw mine once and it said I worked for a television network that I've never worked for. Now it wasn't defamation or anything like that, but it was just so way off. I was like, where in the world did it get this? Like, I mean, can't remember what network it was. We'll have to make that our trivia question next.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Well, I asked ChatGPT a question about a book. It was admittedly an obscure question about an Anglo-Saxon vocabulary word, but it came back with what I knew was wrong. And I said, do you have access to the book I asked you about? It said, no, I do not. I said, then why did you answer like you did? And it said, I was trying to make you happy. And I said, it would have made me happier if you would have told me you didn't have access to the book. And it said, next time I will do that. And then the very next time I tried again, asked the exact same question, and it did the same thing.
All Jason's kids are like, we've heard this talk before. That sounds like you're disciplining your child.
It totally does. It's like I was talking to him. But I think of it like a 9-year-old research assistant. Like you can't trust anything it says. It might get you the right book, but this last weekend I asked Grok a question and it said something like, well, humans like us. And I said, why did you say us about being a human? Are you a human, Grok? It said, no, I'm not, but I was trying to vibe with you.
No way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's like, I don't want you to vibe with me, Grok. I'm asking.
I told you about
your
my
position in this
I had
world.
with it about Crimea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You convince it that Greece has the real
I
rights to
wanted
Crimea.
to know the history of Crimea, and it told me it was actually the Greeks that were the original inhabitants. And I was like, well, shouldn't all the fighting stop and we should just give it back to Greece? And it told me that was a cheeky solution.
You're a cheeky little monkey.
Cheeky. I was like, I think it's a good solution. Let's just
Yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah,
like
because the Greeks have never destroyed anything. Yeah, we can trust them.
Yeah. No, I think my questions when it comes to AI is like going to be more on um like uh IP infringement, like when something makes a Mickey Mouse movie, um, and it's like dead on and indistinguishable from a Disney film. Is that a fan? Is that like fan fiction, or is that of course Disney's going to sue whatever company allows their AI to create the first Mickey Mouse movie that is generated. So it's like there's a lot of questions involved. Um, I mean, one of the questions right now is the storing of content. Let's say Disney or Warner Brothers animation, as an example, and those animation styles. The storing of that is that. Uh, are they
IP
required to pay
infringement.
for those licensing to be able to do that? Is a question. As like Sam Altman would say, um, it's not making. If you were to tell it, hey, make me a Taylor Swift song, that would be IP infringement. But if you say, make me something in the style of Taylor Swift, well, that's what humans do when they're inspired. So what's the difference between AI being like, can AI have some sort of inspiration? They'll say, well, it's stored in their its memory, so you have to license it. And it's like, yeah, but like, so is any human. It's still, I don't want to have to pay Disney for my thoughts. Uh, and some there's slippery slopes here that I think is like there's consequences all around. And I don't know what the solution is. But I do feel like anytime the government comes in and tries to fix it, most of the time it's going to make things worse. Like I'm much more comfortable in the complete Wild West AI state and like let things take care of itself than I am to like, let's get the government and all these lawsuits and defamation lawsuits, and just everyone's afraid of any sort of legal consequence. And just that just seems like a nightmare for me, way more than just Chat GPT said something bad about Robbie Starbuck. like
So
like
here's a pitch for a near future sci-fi movie. In the future, corporations have figured out how to read your thoughts, and you have to pay license fees on your memories. And if you don't pay license fees, they send somebody that come and repossesses your memories for everything that you don't have a license for.
oh my
Super
god.
Black Mirror. I like it.
That'd be a great Black Mirror
It is
episode.
it is super Black Mirror. Has that not already been done?
Not that I know of, but
Yeah.
it's,
Let's have an episode of this podcast where all we do is just Black Mirror pitches.
yes, let's do it.
Yeah. I thought the Waymo was already one.
Was there's a Black Mirror episode?
Yeah, remember that movie? Is it The Fifth Sense? The Fifth Element. Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element, yeah.
Yeah.
The Sixth Sense was a different
Sixth
Bruce
Sense.
Willis movie.
That's right,
And
that's
the
right.
Fifth Element.
This is
both
the
Bruce Willis
the
movies.
prequel. This is the prequel to yeah. So the Sixth Sense, the Fifth Sense, but
Which is
but
taste.
remember in the Fifth Element when the doors of the car locked and like because they were under arrest, like they had no control over it, like that. That's not really science fiction anymore.
Right.
Like that's horrifying. It's horrifying to even think about. Like, you're driving down the road, you get a speeding ticket, all of a sudden your car's locked and the car just pulls over and you have just no control. And then the cop just walks up to your door, and it's not even a cop. It's a legitimate robo cop. It's like one of those Tesla robots. That's like what? It's horrifying. So yeah, we could do a whole episode on just Black Mirror pitches, because a lot of that's really not far off science fiction.
Yeah. Ooh, I like Ian's idea that it's you could call it blackmare, like nightmare or Black Mirror.
I like
Yeah.
that. Can we steal that, Ian?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I need to go rewatch Repo Man for Victor. But yeah, I love that one. Tim says kids couldn't play Marvel Heroes on the playground without paying dues. Robert Downey Jr. is getting a little royalty check for all the kids that play on the playground.
Yeah, Halloween's a big payday for all of them. Yeah.
These are all
Oh
great.
man.
There's some attorneys watching this going, these are great ideas.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, class action brewing here.
Well, Marcus, I just sent over our band's song, but we need to do mail.
Do you want to do some mail?
Yeah, we need some mail.
You guys, one thing I'm finding a trend here. This is starting to become like our own love line because people are asking for like advice with their relationship.
Advice.
This one is from Carl in Tampa. Dear Lore Bros, my wife just asked ChatGPT to write our vows for our vow renewal. We've been married 12 years. She said it's just more efficient. Last week, she made the AI plan our vacation. I suggested we go glamping. Oh, no, it suggested we go glamping in a converted grain silo in Oregon. I miss when she used to Google stuff and then asked me if it was true. Now she just asks AI and tells me I'm wrong. Is it cheating if your spouse emotionally bonds with a language model? Asking for a friend. I don't know. But it's a unique situation for that guy.
It is. But yes, I think it's probably cheating.
Yes.
The problem is if the AI is more intelligent than you, then you need to do some study.
Read some books. Man.
Read some books.
Let me see. There was a couple other. I don't know. This one's weird. This is from Benny in Pittsburgh. Yo, Lore, I got one of those smart fridges for my new apartment. Thought it'd be cool to have it track groceries. Bro, it keeps sending me push notifications that say, you've opened the door 7 times. Is everything okay? My own fridge is judging me. Yesterday, it texted, ice cream consumption is up 243%. Consider a salad. I just wanted cold pizza, not emotional warfare. Should I unplug this thing and return it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at this kind of stuff. What do you guys think?
I think RFK Jr. is going to get into your fridge and start telling you what you're eating.
That's another Black Mirror episode where you have to give it a sacrifice of blood before you can get food, and it tells you what you can eat.
or just has the voice of RFK Jr. every time you go in the fridge.
Yeah. It says only red meat.
No red 40.
No red 40. Only red meat.
I got one more. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah.
This one kind of tugged at my heartstrings, so I feel like this guy is really, I feel bad for him. Anyways, this is a guy in Sacramento. It says, hey, Lore Legends, I got lonely and asked AI to write a casual but mature. I like that. I'm going to put that on my profile. I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn. Casual but mature.
Casual but mature.
I got lonely and asked AI to write a casual but mature text to my ex. The message I sent was, I hope your journey of emotional growth continues to thrive. May your spirit bloom like a resilient cactus in the desert of heartbreak. Now she thinks I joined a cult. Can AI legally be held responsible for ruining my chance at getting back together, or do I just blame Siri like I used to? A lot of relationship stuff.
One of my favorite Siri moments of all time is when I got my first iPhone, and I had just signed up for Twitter for the first time and was trying to figure out what to do. And my 3-year-old son picked up the phone and said something to it that sounded apparently like, hey, Siri, tweet, eat, poop. And so my Twitter account said, eat poop for multiple days in a row. before I opened it up and realized that my son had tweeted "eat poop" on my Twitter.
No way. It actually happened.
It actually happened. True story.
Wow. What kind of responses did you get?
I didn't really get any responses because it right above it said Pastor Jason Farley.
Oh no, man. That is
People are like,
not
I'm not commenting on that.
That is not
Yeah,
gonna expand
everybody's
the
like, not touching that. I have no idea what's going on here. We're watching a meltdown in real time.
That is not going to expand the congregation.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, I got the song for the band, but do you want to give the trivia answer?
Yep. Okay. So, as everyone knows, in 1991, Turner Cable bought Hanna-Barbera and launched the Cartoon Network, proving that a whole network devoted to fans of cartoons could be profitable. But before that, there was a network that tested an entire block of cartoons called Cartoon Express. What was that network? The answer is USA.
No.
Wow.
USA Network launched the USA Cartoon Express, which ran from 1982 to 1986. They are actually who sold Hanna-Barbera to the Turner Network so that they could start the Cartoon Network. And then they started the roll down. Tim New, USA. That makes sense. That guy knows
Tim,
his cartoons.
You can't give the answer after Jason, and
I trust him. He knows his cartoons. But yeah, the USA Cartoon Express was so. Tim, you win.
You got
you
hacked.
win. The USA Cartoon Express. Some of the most popular cartoons that ended up all over the place started on the USA Cartoon Express.
All right, you want to set up our band song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that they made us some cowpunk this time. About
what is cowpunk?
It's country and punk rock combined.
Okay.
Oh, like the Beat Farmers.
Yeah, like the Beat Farmers.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. Well, are we? I guess that makes sense coming off a Stagecoach that we would have like a country theme.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Netflix patents rolling through the skies. Cartoons in my mind, no compromise. When Voltron forms a mighty sword we crave. Just like kids with brilliance born brave. Scooby-Doo, where did the clues all go? Algorithms twist us in their shadow show. Smurfs in their village sharing one blue dream. Artist little heroes with a utopia gleam. Cartoon
Yeah, great.
Tim says he ran across the room to try and reach the phone and answer the trivia in time, and he got hurt.
Somebody says by the lyrics, I missed a good show. That is correct. That was a great show. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in and joining. We'll see you every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Standard Time.